Hello, Dr. Danielle here with you from San Diego, California. I am a doctor of psychology and licensed clinical social worker, and we're going to talk a little bit about citrus solutions. As you guys know, my forte is the holistic brain and different ways that we can help the brain as clinicians as well as in our homes to just get the nutrition, I would say, and the chemistry, the good chemistry that it needs. So as you're joining me, Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, also, please comment below who's on and watching and where you're joining me from. So I can definitely interact and say hello for those of you who are live, and I can go back and comment for those of you who are watching the recording. If you have groups that you really focus on holistic wellness, or maybe even your page is really centered on holistic wellness, emotional wellness in particular, this would be a good time to share this video as well as tag some people in that might benefit from listening to this. So great to see all of you guys joining. Again, Dr. Danielle here with you. Hi, Maria. I'm very excited. Before I dive into the actual content, just letting you guys know, those who are following me live, the book has now been shipped. So I have just published the Mental Health and Aromatherapy book, the first of its kind. And this one is focused on PTSD. And so really cool. It's the dissertation that I did in my doctoral program. So it's very heavy neuroscience based. Just want you to understand that. But we do have a lot, and I'm going to talk about the section today on limonene, which is in citrus essential oils. So for those of you who have ordered the book and received it, will you let me know in the chat box or the comments below, just if you've ordered it and if you've received it. I would love to hear if you've received it yet and if you've ordered it. So if you have not yet, I can put a link in, it's in my pinned post and in my bio on Instagram and Facebook, so you guys can get the book too. So if anything, you can go to brainessentials.com, and that's where all of my published material is. So just so you guys know also, I'm really pioneering this field as a doctor of psychology and licensed clinical social worker. And the reason being is because I spent many years doing therapy with clients that I just loved. And I knew we could use some type of aspect from nature in my own office that could help them process the emotions. As I started using the essential oils, I could see that my teenagers were really making some shifts. And the shifts were, some of them were big, some of them were very subtle. And some of these subtle ones were the most impactful because they were clients that I hadn't had shifts with for a really long time. And all of a sudden their mood would shift, it would like lighten, and we were able to talk about things and dive a little bit deeper. And I just think it is such a great additive to therapy. And I really focus now on continuing doing research. So I'm always looking for research partners in the medical world, as well as training other hospitals and professionals, clinics, and overseeing organizations for therapy on how these legitly work within their practice. So that is my forte, and I'm very excited to share with you about citruses today. Hello, everybody. I'm just looking at the chat box to say hi. Good. I'm glad a lot of you have pre-ordered. Haven't received it yet, but that's great. I'm excited. It should be there. They shipped out like 4 days ago. So with the shipping, it might be just a little slow with how things are right now. Another thing, brain courses. So I have brain courses that will be released soon. I was thinking they would be this week. However, when I went in and just was refreshing everything, I realized that I wanted to have some video content in there to help the learning process be so much easier. So now that's going to put me back a little bit, but it's going to be a lot better. And so I've been doing the videos for the brain courses. So very excited. If you haven't already purchased the lifetime membership, you can do that once they go live on my website. Right now, the lifetime membership is at $99. I haven't upped it yet, but once they go live on my website, it'll be $550, you guys. So definitely recommend getting in on the $99. I'll go and put a link in this here in this chat box, or this, what do you call it, post, so that you can link to that too. So the book and that, I will go back and put a link in here so you can watch it. All right, well, let's dive in. So let's talk about citruses. So what I'd like to see in the chat box is somebody can be a scribe for me, meaning kind of a commenter, and let's have you comment the major things that we talk about so that our brain can see those. So I'd really appreciate someone who's available to do that. And so the next thing I want to ask you guys in the chat box is, what is your favorite citrus oil, essential oil? And then what is your favorite citrus fruit to eat? And they might be different. So, and in if you have a citrus blend that's your favorite too, that's great. So tell me, what is your favorite citrus oil and your favorite citrus fruit to eat? So I'll tell you, my favorite citrus fruit to eat is grapefruit. I love eating grapefruit. I think it is so good, especially red ruby grapefruits. In fact, if you see my earrings, they're grapefruit earrings. Isn't that fun? So my favorite citrus to use as an essential oil is bergamot. I love the smell of it. So let's talk a little bit about what citruses are and what's a little bit more of their characteristics. So one thing, when you take your citrus, right, the fruit on the inside of a citrus has the vitamins and minerals. So good for you, has major cleansing properties as well. And when you look at the essential oil, actually comes from the rind. So the rind on the outside is what is creating this medicine for the fruit on the inside. And so when we extract an essential oil from a citrus, you're actually extracting the medicine from the rind. That rind medicine is protecting the growth of the fruit from any harmful pathogens that swarm throughout the earth and throughout the trees. And when someone walks by them and sneezes, though is what's really cool is that rind has those essential oil molecules on it. So when you peel an orange, have any of you guys ever peeled an orange or even a grapefruit, and it's such a strong scent? It's not necessarily the fruit that you're smelling. You're actually breaking oil sacs on the rind, and you're getting a big whiff of the aroma. Really, really cool. So I'm seeing that you guys have all of your favorites. Yeah, wild orange is great. So it's fun because in this chat box, lime, you can see there's so many different citrus types. I have a few here we can talk about. I've got grapefruit, bergamot, like I showed you already, lemon, green mandarin. Isn't that cool? Let's see, I've grabbed wild orange as well. And of course, there's more. We have lime, we have red mandarin, clementine, tangerine, so many citruses. So what do all of the citruses have in common? What is the major chemical compound within them that actually makes a difference for our health? And you guys probably know this. You can type it in the chat box. It's limonene. So this is a chemical constituent. And I already mentioned it earlier. And here's my book. It's inside the book. It says limonene. Okay. So limonene is a chemical compound that is very high in citruses. In fact, grapefruit and orange, I know off the top of my head, are about 95% limonene. That's a lot. Lemon is about 70-ish, 73% limonene. Bergamot is about 40 to 50% limonene. So what that means is let's look at what does limonene compound do for your body. And in my book, you'll see that I've written what it does heavily for the brain. So I'll just review a few things in here. And then, of course, there's other benefits that citruses, this limonene content has. So a ton of studies have actually been done on limonene itself, as an isolated compound. So there's studies that are done, for example, on grapefruit, but then there's also studies that are done on limonene individually. And so what I've done in this section is I've just typed up individually what's done on limonene. So a lot of the studies show that limonene itself is very good at helping with the stress pathways. And what that means is that it's good at mitigating the effects that stress causes. So if you've ever felt stressed, right? I know I have. When I do, my brain, you start to just not think as clearly. It's I need to get grounded, because you're firing in all sorts of directions. A heightened level of cortisol gets released, glutamate, which is a excitatory neurotransmitter. So limonene comes in and just calms that reaction. It also calms blood pressure. So it calms that central nervous system, and it calms down, it binds to that cortisol and helps it not interrupt other neural patterns. So I'm just kind of simplifying it, but that's really what's going on here. So let's look at some studies. You guys like to look at some research studies? I know I do. In the box below, in the chat box, I would love to see how you guys use citruses, essential oils on a daily basis or just in your routine. Tell me what's your favorite thing to do with the citrus, because at the end of this, we're going to talk about applications. So if you can start telling me some of your own application, that would be awesome. So one of the studies, let's see, they had through inhalation. So when we talk about inhalation, that means your neural olfactory pathways sit right here on your olfactory nerve, and it goes right to your limbic system part of the brain. And these little molecules you inhale, and it actually communicates to your brain and tells your brain to do, or helps it do different things, right? So when you inhale it, it can be very powerful, and that's why I love this for therapy. It's a non-invasive way, just a scent in a room, and it smells amazing, of course. So a study was done on healthy men and women with lemon essential oil. And what they showed, it was through inhalation, that it helped increase those happy neurotransmitters like norepinephrine. So it helped like increase, like, so if you're ever feeling like just low and unmotivated, lemon's a good one for that because of that norepinephrine, right? So then we look at another study on the limonene, found that it helped calm the Hpa axis. So if you remember from a lot of my other talks, Hpa axis is your core communicator in the stress response. So it is that's three different systems that work together, right? The hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands. They communicate together, and they put on a stress response throughout the whole body. So the limonene came in and it said, hey, let's calm that stress response. So isn't that amazing that you can, if you have a client coming into your office, or you're dealing with kiddos that are stressed, and you can diffuse something like that has limonene in it, that's what this study was saying, and just help their body just calm down from stress, then they can choose to see things differently. They can choose, right, to process the emotions that they were going through. Okay, so let's see. And that study that was done on the Hpa axis was actually an induced trauma model. So let's look at some other studies here. Another study found after oral administration. So we've just talked about olfactory. Now let's talk about oral. And we know, I mean, we're pretty familiar with having like a little hot tea of lemon, which we know is like really good. And what do you think of when you think of drinking lemons? What do you think it does for your body? Or not lemons, well, lemons, yes, but citruses in general. They're very cleansing. So like Jose said, he uses it every day in his water. They're very cleansing to your system. They will absolutely help be like an astringent and just help your body flush toxins. And that's why drinking lemon water. So when people say, well, I do lemon water, so do I need a lemon essential oil? And I tell them it's very different. They both have astringent type properties, but your lemon essential oil is going to have different chemistry than your lemon fruit. And the fruit is going to have your minerals and vitamins. So I say do both. And I think like if you look at nature, and the more you can do something as a whole, meaning the fruit and the rind part of it, you're getting the whole part of nature. And I really like that about it. So yes, so we know it'll go internally and help with astringent. So this study in particular compared it with a group that used corn oil, and they showed that the hypothalamus and the amygdala were able to reduce the stress effects in the hypothalamus and the amygdala. I'm just trying to paraphrase this, and also helped reduce that excitatory neurotransmitter by helping your body increase its own GABA. So what's cool is this isn't, you're not taking a synthetic form of anything. You're just using a plant that helps your body to do what it needs to do to get better. So I love that about it. So let's see here. I'm going to do one more here. Neuroprotective, showing that it's very neuroprotective, the limonene. Reduces cortisol. Other limonene studies shows it reduces anxiousness, which is kind of interesting because you think of citruses as being like an excitatory, and they're not an excitatory necessarily. They're actually an uplifter to mood, serotonin, norepinephrine, but it also helps with reducing anxiety because it balances the major two neurochemicals that are off balance in anxiety, which are GABA and glutamic acid. So anyway, that's a little bit on citruses. I've kind of gone into a little bit of science. When you get the book, you'll be able to read like full science on it. But I want to talk a little bit about how you use them. So I want to finish with lemon. So I know we talked about it, and I'm loving seeing what you guys, how you use citruses and what you use them for. So please keep typing that in. So lemon, for example, is a little bit different than the others. It still has, like I said, 70-ish% limonene. But it also has some other compounds. And what I like about lemon is that it really helps. The best way I can put it is like unglue things. So I'll give you an example. When I was taking off a label of a salad bottle that I wanted to keep, the glass bottle, and I was taking it off, and the sticky stuff of the salad, the glass bottle got all over my fingers, and I was trying to clean it with the water and soap, and it just wasn't coming off. And I went, oh yeah, duh, use lemon. So I did a drop of lemon in my hand, and I just wiped, and the glue came off, like just came right off. So if you ever need to get something gluey off of your counters or anything, or your hands, lemon is the best. So think about that. If you can take gluey stuff off, and it just has this ability to lubricate and slide things through, what's it going to do in your gut? Can you see how crucial lemon can be? And if we look at a form of food that we eat, and it's in almost everything, right, which is going to be gluten. When gluten is mixed with water, what do you think it becomes? Well, what is the word gluten even a root of? Glue, right? So gluten mixed with, or flour mixed with water becomes pasty. And that's what happens in your gut, which is really why I like to do lemon on a daily basis. Like I think it was Jose that said, and I think many of you guys also said that. And so when you do lemon, you're helping to not only get that limonene content, but you're also helping to just unglue things in your intestinal tract. So this is a crucial one every day. I love it. So as far as so internal use, that's probably the main one I use internally. I also like to use grapefruit internally, and I'll do this one either in water or in capsules. And grapefruit's really good. Like if you ever have tried to use, done an experiment and do grapefruit in a styrofoam cup. So what is styrofoam? They each have their just potent properties. I love this. So styrofoam is a toxin. It's a complete synthetic toxin, right? So do a few drops in a styrofoam cup of grapefruit and see what it does. It completely dissolves it really quick. It's really interesting. So the whole bottom will just like dissolve. So grapefruit, if you put that in your body, it's going to dissolve toxins. And it's interesting. People ask me, well, is it going to do that to your, skin? It's like, no, you can put grapefruit right on your hand. You can hold grapefruits. I mean, grapefruit's not going to do that to something that is natural and organic compounds. It's not going to eat it away. Essential oils have their own intelligence to know, hey, this is not healthy, so we're going to break this down. And so grapefruit's a good toxic detoxifier, right? So breaking down toxins. And where are a lot of toxins held? In lots of pockets of your gut, but also your fat cells. So your fat cells come in and they go, hey, let's cover these toxins so it doesn't affect, because this is not healthy. And then your fat cells, which become like cellulite. So a lot of people think of grapefruit as being helping with cellulite, and that's why. Is because it can come in and like break down the toxin that the fat was like clinging on to protect your body. So can you see why grapefruit and lemon I would highly recommend on a daily basis in your water? Okay, so now let's talk about orange. This is one of my favorites for diffusing for therapy. I love it. It is one of those oils when someone, like if you have it diffusing, tell me if you guys agree. Like if you walk into a room and there's orange, it's just like powerful. You're like, whoa. I mean, it smells so good. And I would diffuse this. And I have a lot of teenagers that would walk in and they'd be like really moody, right? Because we know that citruses help with uplifting mood, helps with anxiousness, and it helps with stress. These are the three major ones. And so they'd be really moody and they'd walk in. I remember one of my teenage boys, I've shared this before online, but he was a football player, very moody, all upset about his teacher taking his cell phone away. And I had orange diffusing. And he walks in all like, oh, the teacher, and he's all angry and cursing. And he goes, smells so good in here. And he just like completely shifted his mood because of the smell. And he sat down and wasn't like just like puffing and puffing anymore. And you think, oh, that might be a coincidence, but is it? If I didn't have that scent to interrupt that pattern of his behavior, would he have just kept cursing in my room and being all angry? So this is what's cool is that it can really interrupt patterns. So orange is a very potent smell. I love to use it for a very quick impact, if that makes sense. So that's a diffuser I like to do with it. It's also good for cooking, for like cupcakes or something. Not that cupcakes are healthy, but like little things like that, like frosting. I've had it on that, which is kind of fun. Okay, green mandarin. So what I like about green mandarin, I also like cooking with it too. It's a little, I don't know, it smells so good. I love mandarin, so mandarin oranges. So I like to use this more in my cooking for sure, like with meals. It's got like a deeper citrus taste to it. And let me tell you what's different about this one too for topical use, why I like it. It doesn't have the, gosh, I'm going to botch the name of it right now. Whatever the name of it is, that's called, that attracts the sunlight. So citruses, if you look at them in nature, what are they? They're bright, right? They have in them, I keep wanting to say it, and I can't remember the name, curcumins or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm messing it up. But they have this compound that attracts the sunlight to them, which is why citruses are so bright. So if you put a citrus on you, right, what's it going to do? It's going to attract the sunlight there. So topical use, green mandarin's my favorite because it does not have that compound that attracts the sunlight. And maybe that's why it's still green versus, I don't know. I mean, lime does though, so I'm not really sure. But lime's like a different color than green mandarin. So kind of interesting that's a good one for topical. So topical, I like to put pulse points of the neck. I like to put on the wrist so I can smell it. And maybe on the back of the neck. Those are my favorite spots for just brain stuff. So green mandarin I would use for that. And then bergamot. Okay, so let's talk about bergamot. Bergamot is one of my favorites because it not only has limonene, but it also has compounds that share compounds the same as lavender and basil, so linalool and linyl acetate as well, and beta-pinene. So this is a great one for, gosh, getting a combination. It's like a lavender and a citrus mixed, honestly. So I really use this if I just need to feel grounded, comforted, and like positive mood. That's what I would put this, is that this is going to help with a positive mood and reduce stress. So I like to diffuse this, and I have it in a little bottle that I've done a spray in. I like to do a spray of it on my clothes. Okay. So those are the ways that I like to use citruses. I'm loving seeing, and I'll go back through and read these and see how you guys use them. But I hope you've been able to see the power in citruses and the variety of ways you can use them. We've talked about for mood and for the brain directly through inhalation, for the brain through internal, as well as for the gut internal, right? And then we've talked about topical. And I know we've talked about the different photosensitive. Yes, Mia says photosensitive. That's an easy way to put it. There's a compound, and I can't remember the name of it, so thank you for that. So anyway, you've been able to see how powerful these can be with just having an array of different citruses in your life and how to use them. So on a daily basis, my recommendation would definitely be lemon and grapefruit internally for just cleansing the gut, because we know long-term brain health is really tied to the gut. And then depending on your mood, or I would use wild orange in the diffuser, and then green mandarin if you go outside. So anyway, everybody, thanks so much for joining. Great to be on with you for our Brain Talk Tuesday this week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Again, the post will be in the what's it called? The links will be in this post for the brain course if you want to get in on the deal at $99 versus $550 when it comes out. And then the next would be the book. I'll put the link in there if you haven't ordered it yet. And hopefully next week, most of you will have your books and bring them to our chat, and we'll talk more about it. All right, talk to you later. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.